There's a song that says, "Don't ask my neighbor." But in the case of a narcissist, you might want to talk to your neighbor. In today's video, I'm kind of just going to share a testimony of two of my neighbors that I received from them after my divorce. So, my narcissistic ex-husband had a terrible habit of saying that he was going one place, but he would be going to another. He had habits of not keeping jobs and terrible gambling habits also. Lots of irresponsible behavior. He didn't take household bills very seriously, and he didn't take, being financially stable seriously either. Lots of, basically just lots of reckless behavior, lots of irresponsible behavior, just a general lack of maturity when it came to things of the adult world. So I worked full time, and lots of times my ex-husband would be at home and occasionally doing what I would call odd jobs or gigs, basically making just enough money to support his habits and make just enough money to quote unquote get by. In my neighborhood, the houses are rather close together. When you walk out of your front door, you open your front door, you can easily see the neighbor across the street from you. You can look and see their front door. And the same thing on either side of the house. When you go out your front door and look to the side of your house, you can see your neighbor. So the first testimony that I received was from the neighbor that lived directly across the street in front of my house. So my ex-narcissist husband had what he called a work truck, and he would use this vehicle to do his little gigs. So if he had like a car to wash or a yard to cut, he would use his truck and his equipment, which he kept on the side of the house, that was also visible to the neighbor across the street. And one day after my divorce, my neighbor lets me know that while I was at work, and she let me know the times and everything, that basically an hour before I got ready to end my shift at work, my ex-husband would, you know, pack up his work truck and drive off just in time before I get home. And she tells me that he was in the house all day and he didn't come out. And then like an hour before I got ready to get off work myself, then that's when he would proceed to go out of that house. So when she tells the story to me, she feels like my ex-spouse was a slickster, as she would call it, and she felt like, it wasn't right or it wasn't fair. She said that she saw me get up and go to work every day faithfully, get up and go to work, and then he was at home basically not doing very much at all and basically pretending that he was, going after money. I was rather shocked to find out this information because I always thought that, he would get out pretty much for the whole day and, try to find work. I didn't realize that he was not doing that at all, that he was pretty much hanging out at home for the best part of the day, for the most part of the day, and then just leaving out right before I got home. Another thing that I felt was kind of disturbing about this testimony was that it seemed like the narcissist didn't want to be bothered with me. So he would purposely, leave the house before I got there. Like he didn't want to have interaction with me. This I feel is very unfortunate, especially if you're married. You're supposed to, spend time with your spouse. So, that was rather eye-opening to learn. So basically, from the outside looking in, my neighbor felt like it was an unfair situation. And she was absolutely right. It was unfair. I had another neighbor that lived right next to me, so right on the side of me, to the left side of my house. I had, and he's an older gentleman, and one day I was taking out the trash and he stopped me when he saw me on the side of my house taking out my trash. And he said, "Honey, I just want to let you know that I know you could do so much better than that guy you had here. And I saw you go to work every single day and he just was sitting there. He said, you can do better than that. You can do bad by yourself." And I said, "Thank you, sir. I appreciate that." People can see people's character without very much interaction with them. You can pretty much observe from afar someone's character. And that's exactly what my neighbors did. They took a good look every single day, every single chance they got. And they came up with some conclusions about the narcissist. And I didn't have to go and speak a word. They were able to see for themselves. I had a neighbor to move adjacent to the empty lot to my house. To the right side of my house, there's an empty lot, which I also own. And that neighbor lives on the side of the empty lot, which is the same side that my ex-spouse would park his work vehicle and all of his equipment. And before we got divorced, my ex-spouse would love to tell me, he would just run and tell me, because that neighbor was a single lady. He would just run to tell me, "Oh, she said something to me. She was talking my ear off today." It was always that. And I remember telling him, I said, "It's very interesting that she only talks to you. She only talks your ear off." I said, "When I go to the mailbox and all of that, she's not really that talkative. So it's very interesting that she's always talking to you." And he would say this to me in such a way to try to provoke jealousy, which I couldn't be jealous because I already knew the truth. I already knew you're the type of man that's always going to be in some woman's face. You're the one who likes attention. You're the one who hoards attention. You're the one that's attention seeking. So I had enough sense through the 14 years of marriage to know, no, she's not talking to you at all. She's not starting conversation with you at all. You're the one that's starting the conversation. And I knew it very well. Some of the things that narcissists think that they're doing behind closed doors is not really that. Eventually, the truth is going to come out. Eventually, the truth is going to be revealed. Eventually, somebody, somewhere, is going to see your true colors. The narcissist thought that they had everybody fooled. They had their spouse fooled. They had coworkers fooled. They even had the neighbors fooled, so they thought. The narcissist always stated that they were smarter than the average person, smarter than most people. That was what he said to me repeatedly. And the answer is no. No, you're not. There's somebody out there that's looking right at you. And there's somebody out there that can see straight through you. So that narcissist felt like since he moved me 500 miles away from my family, that I didn't have anybody to watch over me. But the Lord gave me the neighborhood watch. I had neighbors that were watching out. And I had the Lord. His eye is always on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I would say having a testimony from my neighbors was definitely refreshing. It definitely made me feel a little bit better. It made me feel less alone. That, I did have people around me that were able to see certain things and, you know, felt good enough about me to let me know what those things were that they saw. So I really did feel blessed concerning that. It was bittersweet that I had to gain empathy from my neighbors. I could never get empathy from my spouse. But when my spouse left the home and we divorced, I was able to get empathy from pretty much strangers. Proverbs 3:29 says, "Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee." And I think my neighbors did a pretty good job of making sure that I was secure. Luke chapter 10, verses 36 and 37. Which now of these three, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that showeth mercy on him. And then said Jesus unto him, Go and do thou likewise. My neighbors had mercy on me also. Leviticus 19 and 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Children of light, always be grateful for the eyes that can see the things that you can't. God is the revealer of all things, and he just might use your neighbors to reveal certain things to you. Remember to always walk in truth, and remember to always walk into the marvelous light.